Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to the virtual science class, lecture 19. In the previous lecture, we learned about the matter. Before starting today's lecture, let's take a quick review of our previous lecture. Matter is anything that has weight and takes up space. Then we have three types of matters: solid, liquid, and gas. Solid is one of the four fundamental states of matter. The molecules in a solid are closely packed together. A liquid is a nearly incompressible fluid that conforms to the shape of its container but retains a constant volume independent of pressure. Then we have gas. Gas is one of the four fundamental states of matter. A pure gas may be made up of individual atoms, elemental molecules made from one type of atom, or compound molecules made from a variety of atoms. And then we have the properties of solid, liquid, and gas. The first property is shape. Solid, liquid, the solid have a definite shape. Liquid and gas, they both have indefinite shape, and according to the container, they take the shape. Volume, solid and liquid, they both have a definite volume, but gas has an indefinite volume. Effect of compression on the volume. No effect. In the liquid, there is no effect, but in the gases, they can compress because the difference between the particles of the gas, they are far away from each other, so that's why they compress. Effect of heat on volume. When we give the heat of any solid, liquid or gas, they expand. Mass, solid, liquid and gas, they have a definite mass. In our today's lecture, we will learn about the changes of state, the water cycle, reversible and irreversible changes in state of matter. Changes of state. Changes of state are physical changes in matter. They are reversible changes that do not involve changes in matter's chemical makeup or chemical properties. Common changes of state include melting, freezing, sublimation, evaporation, condensation, and vaporization. You see on your screen, all these states are given: condensation, melting, freezing. The first state is melting. Melting or fusion is a physical process that results in the phase transition of a substance from a solid to a liquid. This occurs when the internal energy of the solid increases, typically by the applications of heat or pressure, which increases the substance's temperature to the melting point. Open your books, page number 61. Changes of state. Heating and cooling are change a substance from one state to another. Melting. A solid changes into a liquid when it is heated. This is called melting. For example, Ice changes into water when you take it out of the freezer. Solid plus energy. When solid absorbs the energy, it becomes into liquid. It melts and become a liquid. There are some examples of melting. Freezing. Freezing is a phase transition where a liquid turns into a solid when its temperature is lowered below its freezing point. In accordance with the internationally established definition, freezing means the solidification phase, change of a liquid or the liquid content of a substance, usually due to cooling. Freezing, a liquid changes into a solid when it is cooled. This is called freezing. For example, water changes into ice when it is kept for some time in the freezer. Liquid minus energy lost becomes solid. When the solid absorbs the energy, what happened? It become a liquid, and when a liquid lost the energy, it become in a solid. You see the example of freezing on your screen. After the freezing, we have evaporation. Evaporation is a process by which water changes from a liquid to a gas or vapor. Evaporation is the primary pathway that water moves from the liquid state back into the water cycle as atmospheric water vapor. Evaporation, a liquid changes into a gas when it is heated. This is called evaporation. Liquid plus energy absorbed change into gas. Liquid minus energy lost change into solid, and liquid when the liquid absorb the energy, it change into gas. There are some examples of gas. Liquid change into gas. Sublimation. Sublimation is the transition of the substance directly from the solid to the gas state without passing through the liquid state. When directly solid change into gas, that procedure is called the sublimation. A solid can also change directly into gas without being converted into a liquid. This process is called sublimation. Solid plus energy absorbed change into gas. In the previous, the melting, we see that solid plus energy absorbed change into liquid, and that process called melting. And now when solid absorb the energy and directly change into the gas, that process is called sublimation. The everyday example of sublimation is dry ice. Dry ice is solid or frozen carbon dioxide which turns into a gaseous state at room temperature without first changing into liquid. This ice is used by ice cream vendors to keep the ice cream frozen solid. This is sublimation. Solid change into gas without changing into liquid. Condensation. Condensation is a process where water vapor becomes liquid. It is the reverse of evaporation, where liquid water becomes a vapor. Condensation happens one or of two ways. Either the air is cooled or its dew point, or it to become so saturated with water vapor that it cannot hold any more water. A gas changes into a liquid if it is cooled. This is called condensation. Gas minus energy loss change into liquid. This is called condensation. For example, if you put ice cubes in a glass of water and keep this glass at room temperature, you see tiny droplets on the outside surface of the glass. Where have these droplets come from? You see the examples in our daily life of condensation. The water cycle. The water cycle, also known as the hydrologic cycle or the hydrological cycle, describes the continuous movement of water on, above, and below the surface of the earth. The water cycle is a reversible change in the states of matter. The diagram below explains the water cycle. You see on your book page number 63, there is a diagram. The water on the earth is constantly moving. It is recycled over and over again in the form of rain, snow, or ice. It changes from rain to water vapors to clouds to rain again. Water evaporated into the air. The sun heats up the water on land, in rivers, seas, and oceans, and turns it into water vapors. The water vapors rises into the air. Water vapor condenses into clouds. It cools down and changes back into tiny drops of liquid water, forming clouds. The clouds become heavy with water, which falls back to the earth as rain or snow. Rainwater runs over the land and collects in lakes and rivers, which take it back to the seas. The water cycle starts all over again. So that's why water cycle is a reversible change of the state of matter. Yes, students, you see clearly on your screen. The sun evaporates water. Water turns to the gas called water vapors. Water vapors creates a cloud and cloud change into the rain. Reversible changes. A reversible change is a change that can be undone or reversed. If you can get back the substances you started the reaction with, that's a reversible reaction. Examples of reversible reactions include dissolving, evaporation, melting, and freezing. These are all the examples of the reversible changes. Reversible changes do not produce any new substance as they are not permanent changes. Heating water changes its liquid state into gases. It changes into water vapor or steam. If you cool the water vapor, it turns back to liquid water. If you freeze water, it changes into the solid ice. And when the ice melts, it changes back to water. These are some examples of reversible changes. They are also called the physical changes. It means that reversible and physical changes, they both are same. And in reversible changes, the matter change their shape, but we can convert them in their first state. You see the example of reversible changes here. Ice can melt into water and water again become in the shape of ice after freezing. Irreversible changes. A change is called irreversible if it cannot be changed back again. In an irreversible change, new material always formed. It means there is a difference of reversible and irreversible state is irreversible changes. Irreversible changes are permanent changes. These changes produce a completely new material. A simple example of this is cooking food. It leads to an irreversible change. You cannot turn a boiled or fried egg back into a raw egg. They are also called chemical changes. It means chemical and irreversible changes, they both are same. And what is the difference between them? The difference between reversible and irreversible changes. The reversible changes can convert into their own position, but in irreversible, we cannot bring back the things into their raw position, their old position. Here are the example of irreversible changes. Yes, students, we have the exercise now. First column A and column B. The three-dimensional space occupied by an object. The answer is volume. F. The amount of matter in an object. Mass. The state of matter which has definite shape and volume. Definitely this is solid. The state of matter which has definite volume but no definite shape. This is liquid. The state of matter which does not have definite shape or definite volume. This is gas. The change of state in which solid directly changes into a gas. What is this? Sublimation. The change of state in which solid changes into a liquid. Melting. The change of state in which liquid changes into a solid. Freezing. The change of state in which liquid changes into a gas. Evaporation. Fill in the blanks. Anything which has mass or occupies space is called matter. The amount of matter in an object is called its mass. Solids have definite shape. The three-dimensional space occupied by an object is called its volume. Liquids do not have a definite shape, but they have a definite volume. Particles of solids are usually arranged in a regular pattern. On absorbing heat, a solid changes into a gas. This process is known as sublimation. Upon cooling, a gas changes into liquid. This process is known as condensation. A change of state is also known as the physical change. Ice is the solid state of water. Circle the correct option. Butter going soft on a hot day is an example of melting. A option is the correct one. Which of the following is not an example of matter? A piece of paper, air around you, sound. Sound is not the example of matter. Which of the following is an example of the physical change? Tearing a paper, burning of paper, burning of wood. Tearing of paper. Option A is the correct one. Physical changes are reversible, irreversible, or impossible. Reversible. Clouds are formed by hot air rising, water vapors condensing, or rain falling. The B option is the correct option. Chemical changes are reversible, irreversible, invisible. Irreversible. B option is the correct one. Which of the following correctly describes the behavior of particles in solids? Arranged in an irregular pattern, vibrate, move about, and slide past each other. Are tightly packed and vibrate about a fixed position. Have no regular arrangement, move freely at high speed. The B option is the correct one. They are tightly packed and vibrate about a fixed position. Dear students, these are the answers of the questions. Question 1, 2. You also draw the diagrams because in question 2, they mention that you will draw the diagram of the arrangement of the particles in a solid, liquid, and gas. In question 3, water cycle is given, and in question 4, the table is given. In question 4, compare the characteristic of solid, liquid and gases in the given table. And here we complete our chapter 11, matter. Okay students, if you have any problem regarding this chapter, you can discuss with me in Zoom class. Allah Hafiz.